Hello everyone, welcome back to my dining room. Today I put the finishing touches on the dining room. That included a very simple beginner sewing project that I'm really excited to share with you guys. So take a look.
Our main project today is going to be sewing some pillow covers to make a few dog beds for my dogs who actually use the dining room space as the main hangout space when they're inside the house. I have two pillows here. One is from Walmart, the everyday pillow, and the other is a pillow filler that I had just kind of lying around the house. It's a little bit old. For the fabric, I'm using this remnant of duck cloth from Joann's and this gray corduroy that I've had laying around for a while. I do have quite a bit of it, but today we'll use it for the small pillow. First, I measured the pillow just to see how big it was. This one was an 18 by 18 pillow. And I'm going to start with a nice straight line on my fabric so that I can measure 18 inches from that straight side. What I'm doing here is measuring 19 inches from the straight line that I made, just so that I can make sure that I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on either side of my pillow. Now that my fabric is cut, I'm actually going to use one of these raw edges just so I don't have to sew both sides of it. I'm going to use one of the raw edges to create the pocket for my pillow. There's a couple of different ways you can do a pillow, but I'm going to make one that has a pocket on the back so that the dogs can't easily take these pillowcases off. To do that, I just folded it in thirds onto the back of the pillow and kind of pinned it in place as to where I wanted it. I'm going to cut off the excess fabric now, and you'll see when we sew this, I'm going to fold that in so that I don't have any raw edges. Here is the fold. I'm just folding it in half to meet the fold of the fabric where I actually had it pinned. And as I go along, I'm just going to tuck the raw edge up underneath of the fabric. When you start and stop your seams, you really want to make sure that you use the back stitch just to make sure that they don't come apart. I finished this hem. You can see it's just really straight, really nice. Okay, so now that it's done, I'm putting it on the pillow in reverse order because it is still inside out. So I want to make sure that my good seam is touching the pillow at this point while the fabric is inside out. I'm just going to pin it on either side in the place where I know that I want it. Slide the pillow out and pin up both sides so that they're nice and straight and my pillow doesn't end up crooked when all is said and done. now that it's pinned on both sides, I'm sewing the sides of the pillow together, and when I'm going over the part where the pillow opening will be, because there's going to be stress on those points, I want to make sure that I backstitch over that seam. And just to reinforce one more time, I'm going to do another stitch about 1/4 of an inch from the one that I've done. So this will actually have a double seam on the edge of the pillow. Moving on to the black pillow, I'm going to do very much the same thing. You're going to roll out the fabric, and this remnant ended up being the exact size that I needed it to be. These pillows are really cheap. I get them from Walmart for about $3.50, and I use them for a lot of different things. It's cheaper than a bag of polyfill, but I use them for the dog beds because it does come out a lot cheaper. And even if I buy a regular pillowcase for the dogs, this is much cheaper than a dog bed that you'd get even at Ross. And I don't feel guilty if the pillow gets dirty and I end up having to throw it away. So both of the pillowcases are done now. I did the black one the exact same way that I did the gray one. And I'm going to go ahead and flip both of them right side out and get the pillows stuffed. When you flip them right side out, make sure that your corners are nice and tight. You can see I'm poking the corner in right there and making sure that the seam that I sewed is nice and flat along the one side of the pillowcase. And this is what it looks like flipped right side out. You can see the beautiful seam there that we did on the back of the pillow. And these pocket pillowcases are really nice, like I said, because then the dogs can't actually destroy the pillowcase and get the pillow out of it. And I did choose some nice thick fabrics that were going to be more difficult for the dogs to tear up. My dogs aren't particularly the kind of dogs to tear up pillows. This black pillowcase is actually a little bit big for this pillow, but with these Walmart pillows, they do flatten out a lot. So as the dogs lay on this, it will flatten out some and fill in that case a little bit more. To put the dog area together, I had my friend Becky crochet this amazing rug out of t-shirts that we had in the colors for the room because I wanted something that I could throw in the washing machine when it got dirty from the dogs that would actually withstand the use that they're going to give it. And t-shirts just made a lot of sense. So I'm just going to throw these down here because I know the dogs are going to move them whenever they come inside. For the other corner, I really wanted to bring in this grandfather clock that I got from my grandparents that I just remember loving ever since I was a child. The mechanism for the clock needs to be replaced, so it doesn't actually function at the moment. And the cabinet used to have a radio in it. It's not functional, but I love it, and ultimately down the line I will make it work again. This plant stand I got at Goodwill for less than $1. My son saw it and thought it was amazing and wanted to make a stool out of it. Then we realized what it was. So now it's living its best life as a plant stand with this amazing Boston fern. This one on the floor is called a cast iron plant, and I did make sure that both of these plants were safe for both cats and dogs. So just make sure that when you're buying plants for your home that they're safe for your pets. I have a thing for vintage clocks. This clock also came from my grandparents. The glass in the front is broken on it, and it's just an amazing vintage clock. One of my favorites in my collection, so I really wanted to put it in this space. These amazing candle holders I got when I went shopping with my friend Becky, the same one who made the rug. We like to go vintage shopping, and these candle holders were the perfect green for this space. This shelf made out of an old window frame and some parts from an old dresser actually came from a rummage sale in Victoria, Texas. My mother and I were out there with our own booth full of clothing, and by the time we packed up our booth with all the extra stuff that we had, my mom had to ride home with this on her lap. I knew this was the perfect piece for the dining room, and it's been hanging in here ever since, but it's never fully been decorated the way that I wanted it to be, so I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now that the room's all put together, I'm going to go ahead and dress the table. And I got this runner for less than $10 at Ross, and that's a really good place to find table runners. This table in particular is 8 feet long, so there were no runners that were going to run the entire length of the table the way that they're supposed to. So ultimately, I would really like to just put some sort of center mat so that it doesn't interfere with the two people sitting on either end. But for now, I really did enjoy the pattern on this runner. I also got this galvanized bucket from the Habitat Home Store and filled it with a total of 7 97-cent boxwood picks from Walmart. One tip that I do have if you're going for that shabby chic farmhouse look is to utilize thrift store dishes, especially if you have children or very clumsy people that live in your house like me. I use any random white dishes that I can find, but it gives it just a kind of eclectic look, but with it all being in one solid color, it still looks cohesive. For dinner napkins, I like to use the 4-pack of Ellie dish towels from IKEA. I believe this pack costs less than $5, and each of the 4 towels is a varying print. These are green and white, and they match the seat covers perfectly because they're part of the same color collection. There's so many ways to display napkins on a table and have them be beautiful. I really like the simplicity of utilizing your favorite napkin ring and just quickly pulling it through and resting it on the plate. My son has gotten really into napkin folding and origami, so for holidays, I will go ahead and do a little bit of a fancier fold. But for everyday use or just a quick dinner party with friends, I'll just go ahead and use some of my favorite napkin rings. This wreath was really the color inspiration for the entire change. I really do love the way that this room turned out. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on how this space ended up coming together and what spaces you want me to tackle next. I already have some ideas in mind, and I'm really excited to share them with you. Next, we'll be working on a new space for us, which is going to be our coffee nook. Please make sure that you subscribe to this channel and that you hit the little bell icon to get notified when I do post new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.